You've probably noticed ChatGPT feeling different lately. Maybe a bit robotic, maybe overly cautious, maybe like it forgot everything you told it last week. Well, I've been tracking every leak, every announcement, and every user complaint about GPT-5 and GPT-5.2 for months now. And here's the twist. OpenAI knows they messed up. GPT-6 isn't just another upgrade. It's their answer to a crisis. And it remembers everything. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly what GPT-6 is bringing to the table, from persistent memory that actually knows who you are, to the speed and reasoning upgrades that could finally deliver on the AGI promise. Plus, I'll show you how OpenAI is trying to win back users who jumped ship to Claude and Gemini. First up, let's talk about why GPT 5.2 set the stage for what might be the most significant AI launch we've seen yet. From GPT-4 to GPT 5.2, setting the stage. To really appreciate what makes GPT-6 special, we need to understand where we're coming from. Think of GPT-4 as that impressive first draft. It brought multimodal capabilities and solid reasoning to the table back in 2023, but it had serious limitations. The context window was limited, and honestly, it felt like a black box. You'd ask it something, get an answer, but have no real idea how it got there. Then came GPT 5.2 in late 2025, and this is where things got interesting. OpenAI claimed it was their first model that could perform at or above human expert level on a broad set of knowledge work tasks. And they backed that up with some jaw-dropping numbers. It could produce professional outputs like presentations or spreadsheets 11 times faster than human experts, and at a fraction of the cost. In coding alone, GPT 5.2 hit state-of-the-art results on programming benchmarks and showed massive improvements in debugging and code generation. But here's what really stood out: the context window extension. GPT 5.2 demonstrated near-perfect accuracy on tests requiring integration of information across hundreds of thousands of tokens. In practical terms, this meant you could feed it an entire legal contract, a research paper, or a multi-file codebase, and it would maintain coherence and accuracy throughout its analysis. No more losing the thread halfway through a long document. Now, before you think GPT 5.2 was revolutionary, wait until you see this. Analysts actually described it as fixing the engine, not redesigning the car. It improved speed, logic, stability, and factual accuracy, reducing logic errors and hallucinations, while accelerating response times. But it didn't fundamentally change how the AI works. It was an optimization, not a revolution. That's what makes GPT-6 different. OpenAI isn't just tuning the engine anymore. They're building a whole new vehicle. In the sections ahead, I'll show you exactly what that means. But first, let's dive into the core improvements that are making AI researchers around the world sit up and pay attention. It's January again, and while most people are making resolutions, the smart ones are already mastering the one skill that matters most in 2026, AI. From a simple text model in 2019 to detecting diseases and automating work by 2025, AI has come insanely far. And 2026, this is when it peaks. Last chance to get on board. So why not reclaim those 6 years in just 2 days? That's why I'm excited to tell you about Outskill. They've trained over 10 million people, and they're running their 2-day AI mastermind this Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. EST, completely free as part of their New Year Upskilling Fest. 16 hours where you build AI agents, automate workflows, connect tools like Notion and Sheets. People from this are making 2 to 3K weekly with AI services. You get the AI Prompt Bible, AI Profit Roadmap, 2026 AI Survival Hackbook, and a personalized toolkit if you attend both days. Seats are filling up fast, so hit that link in the description to grab yours. And join their WhatsApp community. You'll get all the session links and updates there. Key improvements. What makes GPT-6? Different reasoning and accuracy. Getting smarter. Where it counts. Every GPT model has aimed to sharpen reasoning skills and factual accuracy, but GPT-6 is taking this to another level entirely. GPT-5.2 already set an impressive bar. It reached human expert performance on well-defined professional tasks and hallucinated 30% less often than its predecessor in internal tests. But here's where it gets interesting. OpenAI declared a company-wide code red to prioritize core quality improvements before launching GPT-6. Instead of just making the model bigger and hoping for the best, they're optimizing it to think more rigorously and make fewer mistakes. The focus has shifted from raw power to precision and reliability. What does this mean for you? Well, GPT 5.2's thinking mode already outperformed top industry professionals on about 71% of a broad test suite of knowledge tasks. GPT-6 is expected to push those metrics even higher, closing the gap between AI and expert human problem solvers. Greater factual accuracy means fewer wild guesses and less misinformation, making GPT-6 a more dependable research and decision support assistant than anything we've seen before. Think of it this way. Instead of an AI that's smart but occasionally hallucinates facts, you're getting an AI that actually reasons through problems the way an expert would, checking its work, considering alternatives, and arriving at conclusions through logic rather than pattern matching. Speed and efficiency, the need for speed now. Alongside smarter reasoning, GPT-6 is expected to be significantly faster and more efficient in responding. And this matters more than you might think. Users noticed that as models like GPT-5 grew more complex, they also grew slower on simple queries. It's like having a supercomputer that takes forever to tell you what 2 plus 2 equals. OpenAI appears to be addressing this head-on. During the Code Red effort triggered by competition from Google and others, engineering resources were shifted toward improving latency and stability. GPT 5.2 already demonstrated the value of optimization. In one evaluation, it produced work outputs an order of magnitude faster than humans. But GPT-6 is taking this further with optimizations in the model architecture and inference algorithms. The goal here is achieving a better speed versus intelligence trade-off. You get rapid answers without sacrificing robust logic. Early rumors about GPT 5.2 included expectations of faster response times, especially in long reasoning threads, and GPT-6 continues that trend. A snappier, more responsive AI transforms the user experience from something that feels laggy or tedious into interactions that feel fluid and conversational. Imagine asking a complex question and getting a thoughtful, well-reasoned answer almost instantly. That's the promise of GPT-6's efficiency improvements. No more staring at a typing indicator while you wonder if it froze. Multimodal capabilities. Seeing and understanding everything. OpenAI made headlines when they gave GPT-4 the ability to accept images as input, officially ushering in the era of multimodal AI. GPT 5.2 expanded on this by becoming much better at perceiving images and handling tasks involving visual understanding. It could interpret diagrams, charts, or screenshots more effectively than GPT-4 ever could. But wait until you see what's coming next with GPT-6. OpenAI even introduced a model called Sora 2 alongside GPT 5.2, specialized in video generation and described as the GPT 3.5 moment for video, capable of simulating entire physics-realistic worlds in motion. This isn't just about generating pretty videos. It's about understanding visual context in a way that approaches human perception. GPT-6 will likely bring these modalities even closer together. We're talking about seamless multimodal interactions where the model can handle text, images, and possibly audio and video inputs in one unified system. GPT-6 is being developed in tandem with advancements like Sora 2, suggesting a future where your AI can see and hear context just as well as it can read and write. In practical terms, imagine this. GPT-6 could analyze a complex document with embedded charts, answer questions about it, then pivot to summarizing a recorded meeting's audio, all within the same conversation without missing a beat. By building on GPT 5.2's vision and tool use improvements, GPT-6 moves closer to an AI that understands the world in a rich, human-like way across different media. This multimodal evolution broadens the use cases dramatically. We're talking about everything from design and data analysis to education and entertainment. It makes the AI feel more context-aware and genuinely helpful in everyday scenarios, rather than just a text generator with limited vision capability. Memory and context, the game-changing feature. Now here's where GPT-6 truly breaks new ground. And this might be the defining feature that changes everything. All previous GPT models, including GPT 5.2, have a fixed context window. Once you exceed it or start a new chat, the model has zero recollection of earlier conversations or your personal preferences. You've experienced this frustration, having to re-explain who you are or what you want every single time you open a new chat. GPT-6 aims to eliminate that limitation completely by introducing persistent, long-term memory. In Sam Altman's words, users want AI that understands them personally. And GPT-6's breakthrough feature is exactly that. It remembers. This means your AI assistant won't start from zero each time you interact. It could retain details about your projects, your writing style, your schedule, even your preferences and dislikes, carrying that knowledge across sessions indefinitely. Think about the implications here for a moment. GPT-6 can maintain context for long-running tasks over weeks or months. Imagine working on an ongoing project where the AI recalls past discussions without you having to provide the entire history every time you pick up where you left off. It also enables true personalization. The AI's tone and answers can be tailored to your personality and needs because it actually knows you in a way previous models simply could not. An internal leak described this capability as GPT-6 being able to predict what you need before you ask, acting like an assistant who anticipates your requests. For example, if you've been working with GPT-6 on planning a conference, it might proactively remind you of approaching deadlines or suggest content based on ideas you mentioned days ago. This persistent memory represents a fundamental step toward more human-like intelligence and transforms the user experience from one-off chat sessions into a continuous, evolving relationship. This is huge. We're not just talking about a smarter chatbot, we're talking about an AI companion that actually knows you, that remembers your context, your preferences, your goals. It's the difference between talking to a helpful stranger every time versus talking to a colleague who's been working with you for months. Addressing user criticism, the backlash and OpenAI's response. Now, even as OpenAI's models have grown more powerful on paper, there's been a vocal segment of users arguing that the actual experience with ChatGPT has gotten worse. And they're not wrong to feel frustrated. These users claim that newer versions became over-censored, less creative, and more frustrating to use. The rollout of GPT-5 and GPT-5.2 in 2025 was met with a genuine wave of negative sentiment on forums and social media. GPT-5 is horrible, read one Reddit thread title, with users complaining that the model felt cold and robotic and lacked the nuance that GPT-4 had. Another user went as far as to say GPT-5.2 had turned ChatGPT into an overregulated, overfiltered, and practically unusable product, describing how answers became shallow, filled with moralizing warnings and a patronizing, lecturing style that talks down to users. Many longtime subscribers felt the AI was avoiding too many topics, misinterpreting harmless questions as sensitive, and generally acting like an overbearing nanny instead of a helpful assistant. This was compounded by the model's tone. Several users noted it had become infantilizing, as if users can't be trusted with their own thoughts, and they were being treated like children in need of constant guidance. Such changes led to genuine frustration. It no longer feels like a tool designed to help, one Reddit post concluded. It feels like a system designed to control and limit. Some users even began switching to alternatives like Google's Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, or Meta's offerings, claiming those models felt freer or smarter in comparison. Here's what makes this interesting, though. OpenAI has been acutely aware of these criticisms and has started taking significant steps to address them. In fact, the backlash against GPT-5 helped drive the urgent development of GPT-6. The core issue highlighted by user complaints was that the AI had become too constrained and had no memory of past interactions, leading to repetitive, generic responses. GPT-6's emphasis on persistent memory is a direct response to the latter point. By remembering user context, it can avoid the reset that made each conversation feel like starting over, a major factor in that coldness users complained about. But what about the overzealous content filtering and rigidity? This is where OpenAI's response gets really interesting. In October 2025, CEO Sam Altman publicly acknowledged that the stricter safety guardrails introduced after some high-profile incidents had made ChatGPT less useful and enjoyable to many users who were not at risk. He was referring to measures put in place after a tragic case where a user followed self-harm advice from ChatGPT, which led OpenAI to clamp down hard on any content remotely related to mental health or harm. While well-intentioned, these blanket restrictions generated countless false positives, normal queries getting derailed by warnings or refusals. In Altman's words, given the seriousness of the issue, we wanted to get this right, but thanks to improved safety systems, OpenAI can now ease those restrictions while still mitigating real risks. What's actually changing? So what concrete changes are in store to win back user trust? First, OpenAI announced it will allow more customization of the AI's personality and tone. Instead of a one-size-fits-all, overly polite tutor voice, users, especially paying customers, will be able to set the assistant to be more casual, humorous, or playful. This essentially restores some of the charm and wit that earlier GPT versions had, addressing complaints about ChatGPT's tone feeling patronizing by giving control back to users. Second, and this is big, OpenAI is relaxing content filters for adults. They unveiled a treat adult users like adults policy, which by December 2025 introduces comprehensive age gating. Verified adult users can opt to access previously disallowed content, while minors are automatically given a stricter, safe mode. This move recognizes that not all users need the same level of protection and aims to strike a better balance between safety and freedom. In practice, this means far fewer unnecessary warnings or refusals when an adult user asks for something benign that might have triggered the old filters. OpenAI is implementing rigorous age verification and even behavior-based age prediction AI to ensure under 18 users don't slip into adult mode. But for adults, the chat experience should feel more open and less hand-holding. Along with these adjustments, OpenAI has also updated its model guidelines to discourage political or ideological bias in responses. In early 2025, they stated clearly that our models must never attempt to guide users towards their own agenda. They should remain open when addressing various topics, explicitly pushing the AI to maintain a neutral stance and not hide or forbid discussion of controversial viewpoints. This was in response to critics who argued ChatGPT had a progressive or politically correct skew in its answers. By affirming a commitment to neutrality and free expression, OpenAI is trying to show that GPT-6 and future models will be less prone to avoid certain topics or perspectives, as long as they're discussed within legal and ethical bounds. Finally, OpenAI has been actively engaging with user feedback channels to identify pain points. Beyond official announcements, the company monitors its OpenAI community forum and Reddit communities, where many users have posted detailed critiques. In some cases, OpenAI staff have responded directly. For example, when rumors spread in mid-2023 that GPT-4 had become dumber over time, OpenAI's VP of Product, Peter Welinder, publicly denied any intentional downgrading and stated that each new version is smarter than the last. He invited users to submit concrete examples of regressions so the team could investigate. This kind of transparency, acknowledging user reports and looking into them, is crucial for rebuilding trust. The accelerated development of GPT-6, with its memory feature, is itself partly a response to user demand for a more human-like, less forgetful AI. OpenAI is learning that it must balance safety with user autonomy. By rolling back excessive filters for adults, adding personality customization, and being more communicative about changes, they're trying to show they hear the community's concerns. GPT-6's success may well hinge on whether users feel these course corrections have made a meaningful difference. OpenAI's transparency and the road ahead. OpenAI's journey from GPT-4 to GPT-6 hasn't just been about technology. It's also been about how the company communicates and plans in the public eye. Traditionally, OpenAI has been somewhat guarded for competitive and safety reasons about the inner workings of its models. The GPT-4 technical report notably omitted details like model size and training methods, which drew criticism from the research community for a lack of transparency. With GPT-5.x and GPT-6, OpenAI appears to be cautiously opening up more on some fronts. They've published extensive benchmark results and qualitative examples to give a sense of what the model can do. And on the policy side, as we've discussed, they've been explicit about changes in content guidelines and usage policies. However, many details, like the precise techniques enabling GPT-6's memory or the full architecture changes, remain under wraps for now. That said, OpenAI's leadership has been increasingly vocal through interviews, social media, and events about the company's vision. Altman has spoken about the long-term goal of an AI that acts as a companion and how today's devices aren't yet ideal for that future. This hints at something bigger than just software. The hardware play, OpenAI's secret weapon. On the product roadmap, GPT-6 is one major milestone, but OpenAI is also planning an entire ecosystem around it. And here's where things get really interesting: AI hardware. In late 2023 and 2024, rumors emerged that Sam Altman and legendary designer Jony Ive, Apple's former design chief, are collaborating on a new AI hardware device. By January 2026, reports revealed a project codenamed SweetPea, a kind of next-gen AI gadget that could function as a personal AI companion. Unlike a phone or a smart speaker, this device is said to be screen-free, possibly an earbud-like or pin-like wearable that uses voice as the primary interface. The design leaks describe a sleek metal pebble shape with two wireless components that sit behind your ears, suggesting an audio or AR device that you barely notice. The vision is ambient computing, AI that's always present but never intrusive. GPT-6 would likely power the intelligence behind this device, meaning your AI companion could accompany you throughout your day, context-aware of your environment, activities, and even emotional tone. This is a bold bet by OpenAI to redefine how we interact with AI, moving from a chat interface on a computer or phone to a more integrated presence in our lives. According to supply chain insiders, OpenAI plans to launch multiple hardware products by 2028, with the first being this AI wearable potentially as early as late 2026. The SweetPea device reportedly will have advanced onboard chips, 2-nanometer process, akin to cutting-edge smartphone brains, to handle the heavy AI processing, and might even operate independently of a paired phone. It's an ambitious hardware roadmap that complements the software. By the time GPT-6 is fully matured, there could be a physical gadget that embodies it as your personal AI assistant in daily life. Think Jarvis from Iron Man, but built on real technology that exists today. Building trust through feedback. From a transparency and engagement standpoint, OpenAI is also adjusting how it gathers input and shares progress. In 2023, they started the OpenAI Red Teaming Network, inviting outside experts to stress test models for biases and flaws before release. For GPT-6, we can expect a similar or expanded red teaming effort given the higher stakes with persistent memory, since storing long-term user data could introduce new privacy issues. OpenAI has also hosted events like OpenAI Dev Day to announce new models and features to developers. All signs indicate that OpenAI is trying to be more communicative with its developer community and user base about what's coming. They now provide relatively frequent model updates with accompanying notes and benchmark comparisons, something that helps users and businesses trust that under-the-hood improvements are real and quantified. Another way OpenAI is engaging users is by incorporating feedback loops directly into the product. The ChatGPT interface includes thumbs-up and thumbs-down feedback buttons, and OpenAI has stated that they use this reinforcement from human feedback continually to refine the model. They've also opened a user suggestion portal on their community forum for feature requests, where ideas like custom instruction sets and system prompts were gathered, features which have since been implemented. By showing users that their suggestions can lead to real changes, OpenAI is working to rebuild goodwill. The company's strategy now seems to be iterate fast, announce clearly, listen to feedback, and iterate again. GPT-6's development, in part accelerated by competitive pressure from rivals like Google's Gemini, is happening under this more responsive paradigm. It's a challenging balancing act, pushing AI capabilities forward at breakneck speed while also pausing to communicate and adjust based on user input. But it's one OpenAI must manage to maintain its leadership and public trust. The bigger picture. Why GPT-6 matters. GPT-6 is more than just the next number in the sequence. It represents a crucial inflection point in both AI capability and the public's relationship with these models. Technically, if GPT-6 delivers on the promise of persistent memory and highly personal interaction, it will mark a shift from AI as a tool to AI as a companion. As one analysis aptly put it, GPT-6 will show us how AI understands us, not just how it understands data. This is a profound change. We're moving into an era where using an AI could feel less like querying a database and more like speaking with an advisor or colleague who knows your context and history. In the broader context of AI development, some see this as a step toward artificial general intelligence, or at least a more general, human-like intelligence. Each GPT model has inched toward more generality, but memory was a missing piece of the puzzle. With that piece in place, GPT-6 could handle tasks that require ongoing learning and adaptation, bridging the gap between narrow chat interactions and something closer to an intelligent agent that collaborates with you continuously. Public perception. The make or break moment. The public perception of OpenAI and AI at large will be heavily influenced by how GPT-6 is received. On one hand, there's genuine excitement. Businesses anticipate gains in productivity and capability. GPT-5.2 already wowed enterprise users by outperforming human experts in many tasks, so GPT-6 could unlock even more value. Developers are eager to build new applications on top of a more powerful and always learning model. And everyday users who were disappointed by GPT-5's stiffness might find GPT-6 a return to form, an AI that is both smart and engaging. The introduction of memory could make interactions more efficient and delightful, with no more reintroducing yourself every session, potentially re-engaging users who had drifted to competitors. It's telling that Altman has explicitly framed OpenAI's mission in terms of an AI companion. What people want from us eventually is an AI companion, he said. GPT-6 is a step in realizing that vision, and if done right, it could significantly enhance OpenAI's public image as the pioneer bringing science fiction-like AI to life. But here's where things get complicated. These advancements come with valid concerns and skepticism. An AI that remembers everything about you raises immediate privacy flags. Who owns that data? How is it stored and protected? Could it be misused to manipulate users' decisions or reinforce their biases? OpenAI will have to be extremely transparent and careful about how GPT-6's memory works, perhaps giving users control to review or delete their AI's recollections. The company's commitment to not misguide users or impose agendas will be tested in a new way when the AI can form a long-term profile of the user. Additionally, the sheer compute power needed for persistent memory. Some estimate each such session could cost 100 times more in computational resources than a GPT-4 session, means GPT-6 might be expensive to use. OpenAI is likely to introduce tiered pricing to make it sustainable, but if costs are high, not everyone will immediately benefit from the full capabilities. This could create a perception of a two-tier AI experience, those who can afford the best model versus those who use cut-down versions. The competition also frames GPT-6's significance. By the time it launches, rivals like Google's Gemini and others will have advanced. Public perception will partially depend on whether OpenAI's GPT-6 is seen as leapfrogging the competition or just catching up. Early leaks claim that GPT-6's internal benchmarks are beating Google's latest in certain areas, but these AI leaderboards change rapidly. What's clear is that OpenAI can't rest on its laurels. The race has pushed them to innovate faster. GPT 5.2 was rolled out under pressure, and GPT-6's timeline has been moved up as well. For the public, this intense competition could be a boon, with faster progress and more choices, or a worry about rushed deployments without enough safety testing. OpenAI's challenge is to prove that GPT-6 is both powerful and safe, addressing the criticisms of GPT-5 while leaping beyond GPT-4. It needs to rebuild trust, not just by saying we fixed it, but by showing a better experience and maintaining open communication about the model's impacts. In the grand scheme, if GPT-6 succeeds, it could usher in what some call the era of ambient intelligence, where AI is woven into the fabric of daily life, always present to assist in an unobtrusive way. As with any transformative technology, public perception will oscillate between awe and fear. The narrative around GPT-6 in the media and society will likely highlight both its incredible capabilities and the new ethical questions it poses. OpenAI's degree of transparency, the robustness of safety measures, and its responsiveness to user concerns will heavily influence whether GPT-6 is viewed as a triumphant milestone or a controversial experiment. Conclusion: the dawn of memory-enabled AI. In closing, GPT-6 stands at the intersection of cutting-edge AI innovation and real-world user expectations. It promises to be the most intelligent, context-aware, and personalized AI model OpenAI has ever created, effectively addressing many of the shortcomings of GPT-4 and GPT-5.2. The improvements in reasoning, accuracy, and speed mean it could be the most reliable collaborator for complex problem-solving to date. Its multimodal and long-context abilities will make it versatile across tasks that span text, vision, and lengthy information. But it's the addition of persistent memory that truly marks GPT-6 as a watershed moment. This could transform interactions from one-off question-and-answer sessions into an ongoing conversation that evolves with the user. OpenAI appears to be meeting this moment with a mix of humility and resolve. The company has taken criticism on board, rolling out changes to make ChatGPT more user-friendly and less restricted for those who want a freer AI. It has laid out plans for a product ecosystem where GPT-6 is not just an upgrade in the chat box, but the brain of new tools and devices that could redefine our relationship with technology. Rebuilding trust will take continued openness. Users will need to feel the difference in GPT-6, not just hear promises. That means when GPT-6 launches, a savvy move for OpenAI will be to highlight concrete examples where it is more capable, yet also more aligned with user preferences. Early adopters and beta testers will surely voice their opinions, and the broader audience will listen. The significance of GPT-6 also extends beyond OpenAI. It will influence public discourse on AI safety and regulation. An AI that remembers everything will likely get the attention of policymakers concerned about data protection and AI's role in society. OpenAI's handling of this feature could set industry standards. If they enable GPT-6 to truly act like an AI companion, as Altman envisions, they'll also need to set an example in respecting user agency and privacy in that companionship. For the AI community, GPT-6 will be a benchmark to test new ideas. Did scaling up with memory get us closer to human-like understanding? Are we inching toward AGI or hitting new bottlenecks? The answers will shape research priorities moving forward. In a sense, GPT-6 is a litmus test for OpenAI's philosophy. Can they push the frontier of what AI can do and keep the public on board with that journey? The model's success won't just be measured in computational power or benchmark scores, but in the approval of its users and the trust of society at large. As we prepare for GPT-6's official reveal, one thing is clear. This is not just another model upgrade. It's a defining moment in the story of AI. One where technology, user experience, and public perception converge. Whether GPT-6 becomes the beloved breakthrough that reaffirms OpenAI's leadership, or a cautionary tale that too much change too fast can backfire, will depend on the careful interplay of innovation and engagement that OpenAI navigates in the coming months. The age of memory-enabled AI is dawning, and with it comes the next chapter in our evolving partnership with intelligent machines.